It's pretty clear the Miami Dolphins need to move on from both their coach and Tua Tagovailoa, their quarterback. We'll discuss that here on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is, in fact, your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of The Barbershop, which is the second of two shows here on Locked On NFL each and every day. And he is David Harrison, riding shotgun with me on a Wednesday like he always is from Locked On Commanders. He's going to help navigate us around the league with some of the biggest stories using the help of local experts that have their finger on the pulse of the team. You can find this wherever you get your podcast. Just make sure you tap in so you don't miss an episode, whether you watch or listen. An episode like today that is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And to let you know, we're over there on Amazon Music. That's right. You can listen to the shows ad-free on Amazon Music. Make sure you go on over and give them the attention that you need so you don't miss an episode. All right, here you go. We're going to end up talking about how the Steelers are a legit threat and the Seahawks are a legit threat, and the Steelers might be a little bit of pretenders that they don't fix the side of the ball that we're customarily seeing them being able to play with. The Colts are very balanced, very good, and the Bengals think they may have turned a corner. But we're going to start this show talking about the Tua era in Miami, and I think it should end sooner than later. Kyle Krabs from the Dolphins, Locked On Dolphins, he talks about Tua and the coach. He's very, very straightforward with it. Check this out.
Mike McDaniel, too. I got a great deal of respect for Mike McDaniel with the journey that he's been on. But I'm at the point I don't think he's fit to be an NFL head coach. I like Tua Tagovailoa. I respect the work that it took for him to get back from the hip injury that he had at Alabama. And I respect that he went through with the early years of his career in Miami to prove himself to be a productive NFL quarterback, productive starting NFL quarterback in the early years of the McDaniel era. But it is adapt or die. It is an adapt or die league. And there's been no adaptation.
David, just a little bit of stuff behind the veil here. You hit me yesterday as we were discussing topics and said you really wanted to talk about this. And I said, let's go for it because it's been one of the things that I have kind of been monitoring all year. The floor is yours, my friend. How do you feel about what Krabs says? And then give us what you think about Tua.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Krabs, as usual, is spot on, right? But I think that this problem in Miami goes beyond just the ability or willingness to adapt. It starts right up front with what both the quarterback and the head coach are supposed to be for every NFL team, and that is leaders. Like, bottom line, those two men are supposed to be leaders of their football teams. We've had this conversation in the past. Just because somebody is in a leadership position does not necessarily make them a leader, but there are certain leadership positions that have to be filled with true bona fide leaders, or else you're doomed to either fail flat out or you're going to be highly limited by what's going on with your football team. And the Miami Dolphins are a team that had tons of potential. I mean, 4,600 yards passing for Tua Tagovailoa in 2023, over 72% pass completions in 2024. Like, the offense has the ability. Tua has physical ability. Mike McDaniel has football schematic ability. None of that has ever been in question. Where the Miami Dolphins falter every single season since 2022, when Mike McDaniel joined this team and had Tua Tagovailoa as his quarterback, is in leadership. It's in their mental ability to overcome any type of adversity, whether that's internal adversity or going up against another really good team. We've heard ad nauseum the conversation about how they don't perform against playoff caliber teams and all this other stuff. That is a lack of mental fortitude, which ties directly to a lack of leadership. The Miami Dolphins ownership, from my understanding, and again, obviously Kyle Krabs of Locked On Dolphins would know a lot better, but from what I'm hearing, what I'm understanding, Dolphins leadership, whether it's lip service or it's real, have kind of come out and said, like, we like Mike McDaniel, we want to stick with Mike McDaniel, we want to, we believe in him, all this other stuff. Fantastic. If that's the route you want to go, you've got to put a leader in that quarterback position. You've got to go out there and find a leader for that quarterback position, because right now you have two non-leaders in your two most leadership critical positions on the team, and Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa. Listen, man, this is not a concussion thing, okay? I remember I was at a press conference when Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins were in Tampa for joint practice and training camp before the worst of the concussions that he suffered have happened. And I remember listening to a press conference of his, and it was just weird energy, man. There was just a weird energy about him. I can't really remember a specific quote or whatever, but I walked away from that podium being like, this dude is not it. Like, this dude is not, like, he's got talent, as a quarterback, fine. This dude is not it from a leadership perspective. He is not a guy that's going to take the Miami Dolphins into the next era of greatness that they want. And every year, every conflict, every situation that has come up since then, it just shows time and time again that Tua Tagovailoa is a guy who is not going to accept the burden of responsibility. It's not about blame. It's not about blame. Leadership has nothing to do with blame. As a leader, you are going to have to answer, eat, and be punished for and feel bad about things that are completely out of your control on a regular basis. That is what leadership is. And Mike McDaniel, like, he's willing to accept those responsibilities, right? I'll give him credit for that. But what he doesn't do is turn that responsibility into opportunity. Wig, if I were to sit on my show and say, the Washington Commanders are 3-4 after getting embarrassed against the Dallas Cowboys, bad defense, nobody on my show would want to tune in for longer than 10 seconds because I give them zero reason to believe that I'm, one, confident about what I'm saying to you, and two, competent in what I'm talking about. And that is all you hear today from Mike McDaniel. It's just a whole lot of us with a whole lot of nothing being said between it. The dude has lost his way, and I feel really bad for him because I think he's a great guy, but he's lost his way. He doesn't know how to steer the ship, and he's got a quarterback that is literally throwing people under the bus. And then Wig, and listen, I know there's going to be people out there like, you're media, so you're being sensitive about it. Even in his apology in his public apology that he had to be forced to make in the first place for what he said, throwing his teammates under the bus, he blamed it on the media for steering it and turning it into a different direction. Brother, you said exactly what you said, and everybody in the media, including several former players, and I will point out, a friend of yours, Manti Te'o, on Good Morning Football, had to sit there and criticize you for what you said. That's not spin, my friend. That is you stepping on it big time. And then instead of taking the opportunity to take your mistake and turn it into a little bit of leadership and accountability for yourself, because you are to blame for that moment, you didn't even take responsibility for your own crap. You try to put it on other people, which is completely ridiculous for first foremost, but even more importantly to the Miami Dolphins' future, just further illustrates that Tua Tagovailoa, he can throw a football, he can run fast, and he can probably spit out a play call faster than you can spit out an order at Applebee's. But he is not a leader of men, and he is not going to take any NFL team where they want to go.
Man, and you and I have some things in common from our service, and some of the best friends I have are guys that I was in the military with, and we get together and joke right now. I'm glad he wasn't in my chain of command. I don't want my friend in my chain of command because some of them I know ain't worth a damn at work. It's just what it is.
Yep.
But then there's sometimes when you can do it, and I was able to do it with my friend, shout out to Reddy Riggs out there in Las Vegas, where when we were able to do it correctly, it's because when I came to work, he was my supervisor. When I came to work, he wasn't my friend. He was my boss. And I was able to separate those two things. And in the NFL, guys hang out, they're invested in each other, they kick that dirt up in the hot sun. At some point, they are going to establish relationships. But then again, when you get down and out in an NFL game, you're going to turn. You're not looking to your friend. You're looking to a leader. And this has nothing to do with whether they're nice. This has nothing to do with any of that. The bottom line is there are leaders of men, and then there are other guys who aren't. Some of them you get along with. Some of them you don't. And I think sometimes people think that when people are really, really nice, you're being really, really mean when you say the truth about them. And the thing is I often say my grandmother's my favorite player, my favorite person in the whole world, but I wouldn't want her to be my barber. Sometimes people just aren't cut out to lead in the position that they're in. Well said, David. I tell you what,
I'll say one last thing real quick. I always tell people, and this is not, I'm not out there seeking to be a jerk to people. You tell people all the time, look, if you want nothing but compliments and cheerleader, go call your mother. If you want the truth, come talk to me.
Yep, that's just the way it is, and that's what leaders do. And they're willing to take the criticism when things aren't going right and take that and use some application to try to seek solutions. And all I hear from Tua and McDaniel is just pointing out what they think is wrong, and they're probably wrong about that too. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of self-reflection. All right, there's been some self-reflection with the Colts because they are winning. Shane Steichen has them and Daniel Jones in a good spot. We'll discuss them and more here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Game Time. Man, listen to me. If you need tickets to anything, Game Time is where you ought to be getting them because Game Time is the absolute truth. They will not let you down. You will not get all of these added costs at the end of when you go to try to pay for it, when you go to check out, and all of this stuff just all of a sudden pops up. The Game Time app is the real deal, man. You need to create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Now, one thing about Game Time is this. Last minute ticket, that ain't no problem. Some people say your lack of planning is not my emergency. Game Time will never tell you that because your lack of planning fits you right into their wheelhouse. You'll get the seat that you need all the way up until even after kickoff around the NFL, and you can find tickets for less than $100. That's right. Download the Game Time app, man. Like I said, make sure you use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. All right, Dave, we are moving and grooving here. Segment number 2, good opening segment talking about the Dolphins, talking about a team that has a whole bunch of stuff going wrong. Now let's change it and talk about a team that has a whole bunch going right. And it's the team that I actually picked to finish dead last in the AFC South because I did not trust Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson or Burt Jones or whoever else the Colts are going to roll out there at quarterback, right? Well, I was wrong. Shane Steichen has it. And Jonathan Taylor is a real good running back, but I've had him on fantasy teams and he's gotten hurt. And I'm like, man, when is he going to stay healthy? And then their offensive line has started to break down a little bit and they started to move people away. Never mind all of that. The Indianapolis Colts are an absolute solid team. They are on a roll. Here's Locked On Colts to tell you about it.
Shane, Daniel is certainly not a young player, but it does seem like over the course of the season, as he has success, his confidence grows and it takes confidence to make some of these tight throws that he's making. Have you seen that progress from day one to now?
Yeah, I think it's comfortability with the guys, being around the guys, being in the system. And I think the preparation builds confidence. And he's the guy, like I talked about earlier. It's just the preparation that he puts in day in and day out. He's making big-time throws, getting us in and out of the right play. We can all feel it. So, we take it one day at a time, and we got to keep doing it, each and every week.
All right, so Dave, I got to admit to you, more so than Sam Darnold, more so than Baker Mayfield, this is the one that is going to be studied in universities on how a dude can be in a situation and you think, oh my God, he's terrible. And then he switches it up and he turns into a dude that might be the MVP.
I mean, it goes back to what, I always claim is the biggest reason that players flame out in the NFL. It's the mental side of things, right? And I mean, not for nothing, we just got done talking about Tua Tagovailoa, a quarterback who mentally is not in the position that he needs to be in for his team. The great thing about Daniel Jones with the Indianapolis Colts is he is needed to be the exact opposite of what the New York Giants needed him to be. All he needs to be with the Indianapolis Colts is a point guard. Just put the ball in the right place with the right person at the right time, and everybody else will do everything else. And that's not a dig in any way, shape, or form. Like there are plenty of quarterbacks in NFL history who have won Super Bowls being that guy. Joe Flacco is one of them. Not Matt Ryan.
Who's close?
I'm forgetting his name. Matt Hasselbeck is one of them, right? Like there are quarterbacks all over Super Bowl lists that have done exactly that. So I really think the change in environment just helped unlock what Daniel Jones does best, because even going back to his days in Duke, look, when he was coming out of college, there's a reason where me personally, I was like, this dude should not be one of the top picks in the NFL draft, because when you're a top pick, when you're Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, those quarterbacks specifically, even maybe a Michael Penix Jr., but specifically those 3 quarterbacks from last year's NFL draft, what are you expected to be? You're expected to save a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But you even get to Michael Penix. Like, is Michael Penix expected to save the Atlanta Falcons? Not really. That's not really like the overall thought process about it. Bo Nix, was he expected to save the Denver Broncos? JJ McCarthy, was he expected to save the Minnesota Vikings? Still first-round picks, right? But because of where they're selected, not necessarily expected to be one of those franchise-saving guys. When Daniel Jones was drafted by the New York Giants, he was in a situation contextually where he was expected to come in and be the next, I don't know, Phil Simms or whatever great New York Giants quarterback there is out there. And you're in a market that the second you don't do it, you're going to get murdered. Like Daniel Jones got blamed so much for the Giants not re-signing Saquon Barkley. It's ridiculous. Like, this dude had no control over that. I mean, maybe he had, could he have said, hey, I want Saquon? Like, I don't know, but he doesn't have that kind of clout, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Daniel Jones has nothing to do with Saquon Barkley, but as far as that decision was made. But every time Saquon Barkley ran for a touchdown with the Philadelphia Eagles last year, what did everybody say? Oh, but at least you got Daniel Jones. Every time the Giants lost the game, you might have won that game with Saquon Barkley. Now he's in Indianapolis, where truthfully, the Pacers are probably the big news in town. You're not even the main focal point outside of just football being king. The scouting combine has more attendance than you probably have in your season, and I'm being hyperbolic here, okay? But the point is, you're in Indianapolis. You're not in that type of a media market anymore. You're not in that type of situation anymore. This team is living off of their receivers, living off their offensive line, living off their running back, and it's letting Daniel Jones shine because all that weight has been lifted.
Yep. And to add to your point, Anthony Richardson was brought in to save Indianapolis, and see what happened? He wasn't ready to go. So
ridiculous in the first place.
Yeah, man. So sometimes it's the pressure, it's the wrong time, it's the other people being under pressure, like Daboll, and they're pushing and pressing. And now Daboll's having a little success because now there is no pressure on this kid. This kid Jackson Dart. He's just, hey man, just go out there and play. The Bengals, we kind of wrote them off a little bit. Me and you've been kind of poking at them all off season anyway and picking at them. They won a big game against Pittsburgh and Joe Flacco. I'm almost thinking that this is Joe Flacco doing what he does. He did it in Cleveland. He did it with the Colts. He'll show up, man, and it'll be like the Toby Keith thing. I could be as good once as I ever was, even though I ain't as good as I always was, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he's going to flame out a little bit, or have they turned the corner to the point where he can make them relevant until Joe Burrow comes back. Listen to the boys from Locked On Bengals.
Like, this win gives the Bengals a chance to change the perception of the 2025 Cincinnati Bengals. And there aren't many wins that can do that when you lose 4 straight the way they lost 4 straight. But this one did that, and it gives them a chance to turn things around, which is a huge, huge development for the home team.
And more importantly, it builds confidence, and maybe that's the changing narrative. It gets them back into the division race.
Yeah, it looks like nobody wants to separate themselves from anybody in either of these conferences. So the teams that got off to slow starts, that have some health issues, the Bengals are one of them, man. I don't let them get right. Don't let Baltimore get right either. You have to see them in late December, early January.
Let me tell you something. This is the most messed up thing about Joe Flacco right now. The better you do, the more you're just pushing yourself out of the way. Because the better you do, as soon as Joe Burrow is healthy, you're right back on the bench. There is no we're riding with Joe because he got us here. But I agree with him. Like, you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously a divisional win. First and foremost is the biggest key there. But you got the Jets next. You got the Bears after that. Those are 2 very winnable games. And then you head into your bye week. If you can head into the bye week 5-4, this Cincinnati Bengals team heading into the bye week 5-4, come out in week 11 on the road against Pittsburgh again. Another opportunity. The Patriots are a good up-and-coming team, but they're not a juggernaut. We'll see where the Ravens are. The Bills are the Bills. But, I mean, look, they finished against the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and the Browns.
Yeah,
so
man.
You can come out of the bye 5-4. That's 8 wins right there, possibly, right? After the bye, you got 8 wins right there. All you got to do is win 2 of those other games, and you're at 10 wins, and Cincinnati Bengals might be back in the tournament. So I think the Locked On Bengals guys are spot on. I think that win alone really does. It sets the table, because if you lose that game, at best, you're 4-5 into the break, and you're still looked at as one of these non-significant teams. So that one win alone, because of the added benefit of the division game, was huge in a lot of ways.
And the way it's going, 9-8 might get you that 7th wild card. That 7th seed, rather. We'll see. One of the teams that they got to get past is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just beat them the other day, so it's highly possible. And then over in the NFC, a team that nobody's really paying attention to that's very, very good, and I saw it firsthand, the Seattle Seahawks. We'll discuss that and more here on Locked On NFL.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
All right, today's show is also sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss, man. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you can unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you have a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or that love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get yourself started, man, and start winning you some of that money. All right, moving and grooving. Third and final segment here with my man David Harrison of Locked On Commanders. As we press towards the middle of the season, we are going into week 8, man. It just feels like it just came. It feels like it just started, right? The bye weeks are out there. I know everybody's all invested in fantasy football. And I tell you, it's something that people did not have on their bingo card, and that was the Seattle Seahawks being a devastating team defensively. I think they took all of their defensive ideas from Baltimore to Seattle because Baltimore can't play defense anymore. Their front seven is magnificent. Sam Darnold has done what Sam Darnold needs to do. Their running game, their offensive line that they had invested so much in over the years. Well, guess what? Charles Cross and those dudes are starting to play really, really well. And Mike McDaniel, whether it's not even about him being flashy. He's just a good old nuts and bolts football coach that believes in blocking and tackling. Seattle's got him something up there.
They do. They got him a very favorable schedule as well.
Yeah, there you go.
We've gone pretty deep in the season before I've had to point out that there's a team out there in the NFL doing really well who just so happens to be playing the AFC South and the NFC South on their schedule this season, but that's who the Seattle Seahawks are. I mean, listen, you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are destined to be 9-8. You beat the New Orleans Saints, the Arizona Cardinals, who are destined to be at or near the bottom of their divisions, the Houston Texans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are in the upper half of the worst division in football. And I hate to do that to you, Wig, but you know it's the truth as much as I do. The losses come to the San Francisco 49ers, who are one of the better teams in your division, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are the best team in the NFC South, best team in one of the worst divisions.
They played them tough, though. They played them tough.
I'm not saying they're a bad team.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I do believe the Seattle Seahawks are more real to their record this year than the Chargers were last year, because the Chargers were the team that I was zeroing in on last year. You remember all those conversations that Chargers fans love. But look, the good news for the Seattle Seahawks is I also live by the motto of you never apologize for who's on your schedule, because the Seahawks don't get to pick it anyway. You got a bye week this week. You got the Washington Commanders, who are just in a tailspin of all tailspins after that. Then you're back to the Cardinals. You got the Titans a couple weeks after that, the Minnesota Vikings, who are a shell of themselves, the Los Angeles Rams, the Carolina Panthers, who are definitely beatable. So out of all the remaining games you have after the bye, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, I would say 5 games that you should definitely win. You're already at 5 games. So you're probably looking at a double-digit win season. And those divisional round games, or those divisional games against the Rams and Niners, we'll see what the Colts are in December, all that kind of stuff. You know, this Seahawks team should put up 11 or 12 wins.
You make a good point, but here's the point that I make that kind of counters that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like all those bad teams you just mentioned, I thought they were one of them. And the thing is, they've done it. They separated themselves from it, and it seems like they have an identity, and they do have something with their front seven. And here's the silver lining I'm gonna give you: they missing their corners. Witherspoon and those dudes ain't even playing because they banged up. They're doing this without the benefit of having the guys on the back end. So I'm gonna give them a little credit, even though they might not be as good as their record indicates. What I'm saying is they are no longer those people that you just mentioned. Those 8, 9 names you just ran off. Well, that's who we thought they were, and they're not.
They're definitely better. Like I said, they're better than like the last year's version of this team, which to me was the Chargers. The Chargers definitely proved me right, because I'll give Sam Darnold and that offense some credit. I mean, number 1 in passing yards per play is pretty significant for a quarterback that does a lot of checking down in his pass. So you got to give him credit. Mike McDonald, like the fact that he's got this Seahawks defense humming is not a surprise. That's the reason that he was at the top of the list. I wanted him over Ben Johnson when the Commanders were doing their head coaching search. So I'm not surprised about this defense. Where I am surprised is Sam Darnold. But again, we all know this, watch football long enough. If you have a defense that can give you the opportunity to take your time, to get your feet under you week in, week out, you have those opportunities. So I give a lot of this to the defense. But I still, again, Sam Darnold is just a quarterback who, to me, is limited, and the Seahawks are going to be limited because of it. But yet another quarterback, Wig, who in New York was a bust.
There you go.
Leaves New York, and suddenly this man's capable of some things. So I don't know, New York, if 9 out of 10 quarterbacks tell you you're the problem, you might be the problem.
Yep. And speaking of defense, there's a team that's devoid of defense. I'm not surprised by their record. I'm not surprised that they've lost a game or two that we didn't expect them to lose. But the Pittsburgh Steelers were supposed to lose those games because of their offense, and that's not the case. They're losing those games because of defense. Here's Chris Carter with Locked On Steelers to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
James, the Steelers have never played the Bengals on Thursday Night Football in Cincinnati. This is the first time. They've only even played, I think, once in Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football, which is kind of weird when you look back in all the long history that these teams have together since that became a thing in 2006. But to me, that's a big thing here is they got to slay that dragon.
Yeah, will the Bengals keep their season alive, or will the Steelers say, hey, we're going to take the North?
So we know what happened, right? We're now early, that was actually before the Steelers game with the Bengals. The Bengals have used that, as you heard earlier, they've used that victory to kind of steer themselves back into contention, whereas now we're doubting Pittsburgh. And I love the fact that we were able to get both of those clips in, because now we're doubting Pittsburgh. That game was one of those fork in the road games for these two teams. And now we're going to be looking at Pittsburgh sideways because they could not stop Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to save their life.
Yeah, and they can't get off the field all season, right? I mean, it's really been a weird kind of situation for the Steelers, because something that's kept them relevant through all the quarterback changes and trying to find their offense. And, you know, is Najee Harris going to be great? No, he's not. Okay, now we're going to move on to this guy, trade for DK. Like, it's the defense. Like, the defense has always been kind of that steadying factor for the Steelers. So for them to be what's kind of put this team in jeopardy, I mean, giving up the most first downs per game in the NFL right now, like it's incredibly strange because we talk about complementary football. Complementary football exists within the phases as well. And on this defense, like, they're still getting after the quarterback, one of the top sack teams in the NFL, you know, per pass, but they're not getting off the field on third down. They're one of the better teams in the red zone, but you're giving up so many red zone possessions that it almost doesn't matter. Like, the complementary football within the defense is not there. And it's stunning, to be quite honest with you.
It is. One of those offensive linemen learned, too, I don't care how happy you get, you don't be tackling Aaron Rodgers, because he's going to get up and tell you, what are you doing? You got to remember, dude, the dude's like 50 years old, man. You can't be tackling him and being all happy. I know y'all want to tackle Tyler Rowland sometimes early in the morning because he loud and he wakes you up like a double shot of espresso on Locked On NFL in the morning, and I'll slide by and do what we do in the barbershop and get all up in people's business. as we navigate around the National Football League with the help of local experts. That's what we do on Locked On NFL, and it's twice a day. Make sure you tap in and check that out wherever you get your podcast. Check out David Harrison over on Locked On Commanders as well. I'll be on Locked On Jaguars all week as well. And then tomorrow is Thursday, so that means across our network, there will be the crossovers. That's right. Our Thursday crossovers here on Locked On NFL. All right, man, you guys take care. We'll do the same. And remember, we don't take you for granted. David and I appreciate you spending 30 and a half minutes with us today.